Welcome back to Horn Takes, your Texas football and baseball talk destination. I am Sean Redfern, and it is Wednesday, hump day. We're almost halfway there, folks. We got behind this week. So Wednesday means we got the deep dive on the Kentucky offense. Normally we would do that on a Tuesday. But Monday, we had all sorts of technical difficulties. Didn't have enough time to get it all done. But we're back. We're doing well. Check us out on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Horn Takes. If you'd like to listen to podcasts, man, we're all the podcast places: Apple, iHeart, Spotify. You can also find us at horntakespodcast.buzzsprout.com. All the episodes, all the audio episodes of the podcast are there. All the video episodes, obviously, on YouTube, where you're seeing this right now. Stay on YouTube, folks, because we're doing a lot of video stuff, and you can't see video through audio. At least I can't. So stay on the YouTube channel. Go ahead and give us a follow, a subscribe, all that good stuff. The deep dive on the Kentucky offense. It's pretty ugly, folks. On paper, offensive coordinator Bush Hamden's offense. It's one of the worst in the country. I mean, it is pretty bad. We'll talk. We'll get a little more into statistically how bad in just a little bit. Kentucky led by junior signal caller Brock Vandegrift. 122 for 211 attempts, just shy of 58% completions, 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He will run the ball a little. He's got 87 rushing attempts for 138 yards, long of 22. He's actually a really tough runner, and when you go back and watch him, at least against Ole Miss, and that's what I did. I decided to do a film study against Ole Miss because I thought out of all the teams we've played, Ole Miss would more closely resemble this Texas team from a defensive perspective, from an offensive perspective. Georgia might have been another good one to do. But in that Ole Miss game, a lot of running. Not as much as, say, Pavia, Taylon Green, but quite a bit of running. And he's a tough runner. He's a pretty big kid. I think he's around 6'1", 6'2", about 220 pounds. And he has what I feel like is a pretty big arm. You got junior Gavin Wimsett. He'll have a sizable role in the Wildcat. He's a quarterback, but he's as athletic as anybody else you'll see in a Wildcat type situation. So I'm saying they're just running the Wildcat. He's got 46 rushes. 46 rushes for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns this season. 12 completions on 30 attempts, not good at all. 162 yards passing for him, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. So generally when he tries to throw the ball, things don't go well for the Wildcats anyway. This is a name right here. I might mess this up. Senior Demi Sumo Karngbaye leads Kentucky in carries, 109, 505 yards, 5 touchdowns. He's at 4.6 yards per carry. He'll also catch it out of the backfield. He's got 18 catches for 142 yards. Both of those numbers, the 18 catches and the 142 yards receiving, third on the team. So that's not good. Spelling him occasionally, redshirt freshman Jamarian Wilcox. 69 carries for 474 yards, 2 touchdowns. He leads the team in yards per carry by running backs. There's like some receiver type shit in there, like 1 carry for 10 yards. But anybody that's consistently getting handed off the ball, he leads in yards per carry, 6.9 yards per carry. So he's a little bit of a weapon. I think Karngbaye, a little bit bigger guy, still has some pretty decent speed. Jamarian Wilcox, a little smaller, a little quicker guy. Gets down the field a little better, I think. Junior Dane Key leads Kentucky in receptions and receiving yards. He's a big kid, 6'3", 210 pounds. You'll definitely notice him on the field. He's got 44 catches for 686 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then junior Barian Browns, second on the team in receptions and yards, 26 catches for 307 yards and 3 touchdowns, which leads the team. So as you can see, folks, this is not a big-time passing team. They got a pair of tight ends that between them have 14 catches and 144 yards combined. Josh Caddis, 5 for 73 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Dingle, 9 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. So it is not a very explosive offense really all around. I think really where they kind of make some hay, and we'll talk about this a little later, they're pretty multiple. They do a lot of different stuff. It's a pretty veteran group at offensive line. They've got 3 transfers. 7th-year guy, Marquez Cox, the left tackle. He's 6'5", 318. He's a transfer from Northern Illinois back in 2023. Started 34 games at Northern Illinois. And he's played in 49 games with 47 starts in his career, his 7-year career. Then you got redshirt junior, I guess this is Jagger Burton, maybe Jaeger Burton. Who names their kid Jaeger? I hope not. We'll call him Jagger Burton, left guard. If it's Jaeger, I'm not hating on it. I just wouldn't figure parents would name their kid Jaeger, but nonetheless, he's a 6'4", 316-pounder, so a big kid. Started 13 games as a redshirt freshman at Kentucky and started all 12 games he was able to play in 2023. He's played in 29 games, so it's a guy that's got a lot of experience as well. Redshirt senior Eli Cox, the anchor there in the middle at center, 6'4", 309 pounds. He's the baby. Played in 44 career games with 35 straight starts headed into 2024. He's on the Outland Trophy watch list. Preseason SEC guy by a lot of publications. So a pretty good player with pretty good experience, and that's where you want a pretty good player with good experience, right there in the middle. Sophomore transfer Jalen Farmer at right guard. He's a 6'5", 314-pounder. This guy from Florida, he played 4 games over 2 years at Florida before joining Kentucky this offseason. So not a ton of experience for that young man. And then senior transfer Gerald Mincy rounds out that offensive line at right tackle. 6'6", 335-pounder. He was originally a Florida commit. Spent 2 years at Florida, transferred to Tennessee, spent another 2 years at Tennessee. Played in 32 career games including 13 starts at Tennessee. Pretty big group. They're averaging just under 6'5". They're 318 pounds on average, so I think they got pretty good size. Statistically, this is an absolute nightmare matchup for this Kentucky offense. They're ranked 107th in total offense with 340 yards per game. Texas, again, coming in first in total defense, only giving up 249 yards per game. They are 114th in the nation in passing at 183 yards per game. The Texas pass defense ranked first in the nation at 126 yards per game. Rushing offense, they're 71st in rushing offense with 157 yards per game. Texas 23rd in rushing defense at 112 yards per game. And folks, this is kind of the closest statistical matchup there is in this game for Kentucky, and it's really not all that close. Kentucky's going to be what Kentucky's going to be. And we'll talk some more about that in a little bit. They're 109th in scoring offense at 21.9 points per game. Texas coming in at 4th in scoring defense, only allowing 11.9 points per game on the season. Sacks allowed, Kentucky is 103rd. They've given up 27 sacks. Texas 25th in sacks with 27. Turnovers lost. They are 92nd in the country. 16 giveaways for the Kentucky Wildcats. Texas is 6th in turnovers gained with 22 on the season. Third down offense, not getting much better here, folks. They're 96th in third down offense. They convert just a tick over 37% of the time. Texas ranked 13th in third down defense. Opponents only convert at 31% of the time against the Texas defense on third down. Then in the red zone, they are 80th in the country, converting at just over 83% of the time. Texas 19th in red zone defense. Opponents only convert 75% of the time. So if you look at just these statistical matchups, man, the offense for Kentucky against this defense for Texas, it does not look pretty at all for the Kentucky Wildcats. They don't score a lot of points. They don't really do anything particularly well. If you look, you start to break down all these stats and look at this team, you're going to see they're a defensive team. The way they win games, the way they beat Ole Miss is they kept that score down. They kept Ole Miss off the board, and then they hit a big play late to kind of seal the deal in that one. Let's check a little tape, but before we do that, we'll talk a little bit. They're multiple. They'll run 11 personnel, they'll run 12 personnel, lots of different formations. You'll see them in 4 wide. You'll see the 2 tight ends bunched up on one side of the setup. You'll see twins, wide receivers out to the other side of the setup. You'll see them in Wildcat. We even saw the oop-de-oop. We'll show you that. Man, this morning when I was sitting there, I was like, man, I got to get a clip of Bud Kilmer cussing out Mox for trying to run the oop-de-oop in practice. That would have been just oop-de-fucking-oop. I love that. That is the best, one of the funnest movies to watch if you like football movies, in my opinion. QB run game, really, really important. They do it. It's not like highly effective. They're going to do it. In the passing game, they run a lot of clear and follow type route combinations. I'll show you what I'm talking about with that. Let us check tape on this Kentucky offense. Here we go on this first play. You're going to see just a pretty simple little zone read look. They do some shifting. They do a little bit of motion, not nearly as much as Florida. But there's your zone read. The quarterback keeps it, picks up 5, 6, 7 yards. Here we're going to see a speed option look at a Vandegrift. Look what they've got here on the right side. They got 3 eligibles on the right side of the formation. They got the one way out to the left side of the formation. And look at the defense. The defense got a cornerback playing off a little bit, got a safety playing off quite a bit. So all the quarterback's got to do really run right at that in man on the line of scrimmage and pitch the ball off, and we're going to get some yards. There it is. Everybody's dropping into zone coverage. So they catch you in zone coverage with that little speed option. They got an opportunity to pick up some yards. Vandegrift, not a real elusive guy, not I wouldn't say he's fluid as a runner, but he's pretty decently athletically gifted, I would say. Here we got the Wildcat, and again, this is the backup quarterback. But man, this guy is really athletic, and he never seems to hand it off. I don't know, I probably saw him about 5 or 6 times when I was looking at this tape, sorry. And I never saw him hand it off, but they're going to run the Wildcat. When he comes in the game, they're going to run the Wildcat. He's probably going to keep it. I would expect to see some different looks out of that. Kentucky will also do a little trickeration. Look down here at the bottom. You got 2 wide receivers on the line. You got a tight end or a XY guy off the line. If you look at this formation, you can tell right off that something's up because you can't have a eligible receiver that's covered up. You have to have the 7 on the line, and you can cover one up. He just can't go down the field. The defense should recognize that. Here we go. We're gonna move into a bunch of motion. So really, we just got the complete power of our formation to the bottom of the screen here. All 5 eligible wide receivers down here at the bottom. And you're going to just get a nice little throwback. He drops back, looks like he's going downfield, tries to get it over to Vandegrift. If he completes that pass, that's a pretty nice little pickup. I'm not sure that guy right there that that is right near Vandegrift right there. Probably can hunt him down, I think, before he gets to the end zone, but it would have been a nice little gain. Couldn't get it completed. Here we see a two-back look, and it's a two-back look with a wide receiver. So that bottom back that's going to go in motion, that's actually a wide receiver. And I want you to watch the clear out and the follow that I'm talking about. You're going to see him kind of motion out. You're going to see somebody go deep. You're going to see somebody go across the middle, and he's going to follow in right behind him, and that's where the ball's going. It's an incomplete pass. They draw a penalty. There he goes in motion. You get one going. You get one coming across the middle to clear it all out. He throws it right in behind him. Can't make the completion. Here we go with the oop-de-oop. Man, that's the first time I think I've ever actually seen a team run the oop-de-oop. But you can see he's got Big Dane Key at the top of the screen in one-on-one. They're going to try this against Texas. I would almost guarantee it. Dane Keen, 6'3", 210 pounds. He's a big target, physical guy. They're just going to throw the fade up in the corner there. Not a bad try. Probably overthrew it just a little bit. Probably a little bit of hands by number 2 from the Ole Miss Rebels there. But I bet we see that. I bet we see every single bit of this, to be perfectly honest, man. They did a lot of this stuff within like the first few plays of this game. So I don't know if that's a Kentucky thing where they just come out and try a bunch of different formations, a bunch of different looks, trying to figure out how you're going to adjust to those looks. And then they kind of go from there. Or if that's just what they do every single week. Here you're going to see a little play action. And we're going to see some more of that clear and follow I was talking about. I got to figure out why my transitions don't work all the time. I should have just faded in and out. Here we go. We're going to see a little bit of play action. You're going to see some motion come down. A little bit of play action. You see that one guy go across, one guy follow across right behind him. Big arm. I think I said it earlier, but I think Vandegrift has a pretty solid arm. Couldn't complete that one. It hit him right in the hands. I mean, it wasn't the best ball, but it was certainly where only he could catch it, and I think that's what he was shooting for. So he's got a big arm. Here we'll see a straight drop back, another clear and follow. You're going to see the inside guy step up, run across, and someone follow in right behind him. So they're just trying to flood those zones and actually become in motion. He'll be the one that follows right in behind this guy. Bam, he steps up the field, comes in right behind him, catches it for a nice little first down. Another really strong-armed pass out of Vandegrift. Here's something else we'll see out of Kentucky. You'll see kind of a half roll, and on this one, we're going to get just a simple flood concept. You're going to see these two guys at the bottom of the screen that just kind of get into a little switch look. The outside guy is going to be the inside man, and he's going to kind of clear up the seam. And then you're going to see that inside man kind of run a little bench route, and then watch the running back out of the backfield just squirt out into the flat just to pull that linebacker with him. It creates a nice little passing lane for Vandegrift to get the ball on the bench route. Nice little pickup there. It's a simple read too. You just you roll out on that half roll, you read the defense, you find what's open, and you throw on the run. It's a nice little easy play. It's probably one of the simplest little floods in the world. And then here we'll show you the deep ball that won it all for Kentucky. So right now you got to think he's looking out there at the top of the screen. You got to think, man, I think I'm in press man coverage. That's what it looks like. Doesn't mean that's what it is. But as soon as this guy goes in motion and they rotate those safeties, and that safety comes up really close, he knows he's going to have a good chance to make a play on that side of the field. We get the snap. He runs right around him. He throws the ball up. What I really like about this play is he throws it up and gives the guy a chance. This is 4th and 7 with 4 minutes left in the game. They don't convert this. Ole Miss probably kicking a field goal and putting this one away, or making it to where at least Kentucky has to score a touchdown to tie it. But he goes with a long fade, and he does what's probably really hard for a lot of quarterbacks in that situation. Put it close. Let my wide receiver make a play. He gets away with probably a little push there. Not sure. I guess they're just holding that on that play, man. I guess they're just not going to call that on that type of play. But I thought it was a little pushy. But point is, he throws a nice ball. He lets his guy go make a play. His guy does go make a play. It sets him up for the game winner. So there's a quick look at what you're going to see out of this Kentucky offense, and it's more of the same. I watched a whole lot of that game this morning. It's a lot of Wildcat. It's a lot of running with the quarterback when it's not in the Wildcat. Not a ton of handoffs really to the running backs. I mean, it's really a zone read look type of deal. You're going to see play action. You're going to see some trickeration. You're going to see some really easy route combinations to make throws into. Nothing real complicated. The offensive line against Ole Miss held up pretty decently. They did give up some sacks. Walter Nolan seemed to eat their lunch on almost every run play. But outside of that, I thought they handled that Ole Miss front pretty well. Be interesting to see how they stand up to this really, really good Texas defense. I mean, we looked last week at Arkansas and thought, man, Taylen Green scares us. And I'd say it again if we were playing Arkansas again. Taylen Green scares me. Texas wore his ass out. So we'll be back Thursday. We will do our Trace Ultra Games picks for our Week 13. What are we? 26-7 on the season. Pretty solid right there. We'll do a deep dive on the Kentucky defense. And that Kentucky defense, a lot better than that Kentucky offense. That'll be an interesting matchup. Texas is sort of struggling offense against that Kentucky defense. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Horn Takes. Give us a subscribe. Give us a follow. Won't cost you guys a thing. Man, we sure would appreciate the support. You can email me at horntakespodcast@gmail.com with all your questions, comments, concerns, and criticisms. I love them all. Let's get through hump day, baby. You guys get hooked.